Hello and welcome to the Faces of Africa Pocket Edition, where we dissect and discuss the topics covered in our weekly documentary show, which takes you through the continent's history, cultures, and major issues through exploring great personalities. This week on Faces of Africa podcast, we're taking you to Mozambique. The documentary we're airing this week is called Healing Textiles. My name is Fathiya Nur, and I have here
Jeff Muthee.
Hi Jeff, been a while.
Hi Fathiya, yeah, it's been a minute, right?
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. What have you been up to?
Just Christmas things, but then Merry Christmas. It's been
Thank
a
you.
holiday. Yeah, so we've been quite busy. Zambia, Nigeria.
Right.
Yeah.
We've
Now
had interesting documentaries coming out.
Correct.
Zambia was just out the other day. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very nice story.
Yeah, and now we are heading all the way to Mozambique.
We're going to Mozambique.
That's why it's called Faces of Africa.
I like that. What a way to end the year, actually.
I love
Moving around the continent. But let's talk about the documentary from Mozambique, Healing Textiles. It's a documentary featuring this lady who's in fashion,
Yes,
sustainable fashion.
correct.
But she's also a traditional healer. What in South Africa they call a sangoma.
Sangoma. Actually, it's a very interesting mix. She's pretty well educated, very well exposed, and now she's combining the sangoma part of her and the textiles and creating textiles that do something to your body. It's not just only wearing and looking nice.
Yeah.
These are textiles that will soothe you because she's gotten the knowledge of some roots that we have here in Africa, that once you combine them and you dye the textiles in them, they do something to your body. It's a very interesting documentary.
Right. Her name is Wacy Zacharias, right? And she talks about, of course, her parents also were working at the United Nations at the time in the US, and she's really basically grown up in South Africa. So her life, like you said, she's very educated.
Correct.
And when she came into the fashion industry, her whole dream was about, bringing out the African,
Correct.
history in terms of the dressing that
Yes.
is in the continent.
Yes.
And she talks about this particular, should I call it material, Capulana?
Capulana. Yes, Capulana is native to Mozambique, just like Shweshwe in South Africa or Ankara in Ghana. Yeah, so the young people in Mozambique were not embracing Capulana. They thought it was an old people's dressing. It's for the grandmothers and all.
Yeah.
But she came and made Capulana very young, very hip, very appealing to the young people.
Yeah.
And now you can say it has taken off on its own.
Yeah, if you actually watch the documentary, you see her styling and, designing skirts with bits and pieces of the Capulana. It's very interesting.
Yes.
And I think for someone like me who is not really into, like the traditional kind of wear,
Yes,
I thought,
yes.
wow, very interesting,
Yeah.
something I could wear.
Sure.
But I also find it intriguing. She talks about, having those visions for like a year about, getting into healing. And she
Yeah.
talks about her grandmother being a sangoma
Sangoma.
herself. What are your thoughts around that? Because personally, I was like, coming from a background of also religion and tradition, there's a lot we believe in Africa. Do you think it's a very authentic style of living that we have in the continent?
Yeah, there's a lot of misconception around the sangomas and everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so judging also from Christianity and the African traditional religions and all, there's a lot of friction in between. There's one school of thought that it's all fully Christianity, and there's another one that is fully traditional. And you can see that brought out in the documentary very, very well. She talks about colonialism and how colonialism just messed up the whole African system. There's Pai Jacob, who's a traditional healer, who's talking about the traditional medicine versus the modern medicine, which ironically the modern medicine is just taken from the roots.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he just goes directly to the roots and gets the roots and prepares his medicine.
Yeah.
Right. And for the sangoma, the way she breaks it down, it's just being true to your culture and just living the way our grandparents were living way back then, before the coming and the advent of colonialism.
I totally agree. She talks about colonialism also through slavery, but also talking about the religious aspect. Even in Islam, for instance, we do believe that there are certain herbal medicines that comes from certain roots.
Correct.
Like the black seed, the oils, the seeds itself, they have some healing factors to it. So I really see the sense into it when you look at it.
Sure.
But then there's an aspect of it where she talks to one of the guys that she's working with.
Yes.
I think he's a tailor.
Yes.
And he talks from a Christianity point of perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can see there's a bit of a difference there.
Yeah.
So I think also in terms of education, of how people learn and embrace different religions and traditions is very interesting. Don't you think so?
It is. And the reason why I really like this documentary is they've really tried to balance all aspects. There's a strong Christian in the documentary, there's quote unquote a traditional healer, and then there's her, the Sangoma. So both sides are given a platform to air their views, right? Yeah. So the Christian will stick to his Christian perspective, and then she'll try and come in the middle ground and pie Jacob on the other side with the traditional medicine.
Another thing you actually see in the documentary is that where she goes and she's like boiling water, and then she's putting some of the roots and some of the herbal stuff in water, and then she's putting the clothes.
Yes, dyeing.
And she's basically dyeing the clothes.
Yes.
And the idea is whatever the herbal root there has, if it's healing anxiety, that's how you feel when you wear it. Is that not interesting?
That's very interesting. That's why this documentary, people should make up a point of watching it. It's very, very interesting in terms of, imagine a textile or a t-shirt or a jeans or a dress or a skirt that calms you down.
Wow.
You wear it and you don't know why, you just calm all of a sudden, right? Yeah, and it's because of the roots, because of the knowledge behind the roots and what they can do. It's
but
a very interesting.
Not a lot of people would believe like that. I mean,
not a lot of people.
If people would see that, they'd be like, are you sure you want to wear that?
I know. Not a lot of people. We've become a very skeptical society.
That's very
but
true.
It works. It works. And then the other thing I like about what Wacy is doing is also naming, working with the scientists and naming the traditional roots with scientific names and keeping a database, drawing and just making sure that whatever is known in traditionally is the same that the institutes and the universities know the roots. It's very interesting. So you can see she goes way beyond just the fashion. Yes.
Wow, very interesting. Like you said, they have a medicinal name to it, and she said she has a database of at least 70 names.
There you go.
And that's good, of course, for even future generations to be able to see it, right?
Correct.
Wow, Jeff, I think the audience will have a lot to watch.
Yeah, this one is a really good documentary that features fashion, tradition, and anything in between.
Right. Very exciting. Thank you so much for your time, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Fathiya, for having me.